So, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of SNEED-CAST. Today we have Cory Connors, who happens to be the Director of Sustainable Packaging over at Aurora Packaging Solutions. Today we're going to be talking about all things sustainability related, so everything from Cory's start in the industry to what's new in the world of sustainable packaging, to his new role in the packaging school, as well as future trends, insights, and any other important bits of information that Cory would like to fill us in on. But starting off, Cory, thank you so much for joining us today on SNEED-CAST.
Yeah, thank you, Alexa. Really my honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, okay, so before we jump into anything career related, we definitely want to know what inspired you to get into packaging, and what was your start in the industry, or like what was your education?
Yeah. So I kind of, like most people I've talked to in this industry, fell backwards into packaging. I started right out of college working in a corrugated box factory, which is where I got my nickname, Cory Gated, which has proven to be a great handle for social media, but I did not think that was my future. But making boxes and while studying advertising and marketing, it was actually a perfect fit for packaging as a career. So I've really embraced that, and 27 years in the industry has been very good to me.
Right. Yeah, no, I can only imagine the leap from advertising and marketing over to packaging. I would have never connected the two, but we're pretty sure that we're going to learn tons of that today. So talking about your career, you said that you started back in 1996, correct? And that you now have 27 years. Can you tell us a little bit about your role over at Aurora Packaging Solutions?
Yeah, so as the director of sustainable packaging, I'm really focused on new innovations in the world of packaging, new, more sustainable options, ways to improve the packaging for our customers. We're about a $5 billion company with 70 locations in North America, servicing all kinds of companies, small and large. So we're here to help with all kinds of packaging.
And then you recently became a professor over at the packaging school, correct?
Yeah. If you can see my T-shirt, the new they just gave me this today. Today was our launch of our new cohort, summer school with Cory Connors is what they're calling it, and I'm honored to be a part of that team. Julie and Drew and Dr. Andrew over there, really good team to work with.
Right. And then I know on LinkedIn you post a lot about your podcast, the Sustainable Packaging Podcast. What is it that led you to start that back in 2021?
Yeah, so really the pandemic and a couple things. Gary Vaynerchuk, watching his content and learning from him, and being forced to sit at home really pushed me to do some new things, because as a salesperson for 22 years, I was really not sure how I was going to sit and not go visit all my customers all the time, which I had been doing for a very long time. So this was a way to get the knowledge that I've learned over the last few decades out to the public. And I had no idea that it would turn into what it has. We just passed 81,000 downloads. I'm honored and thankful to be a part of it.
Right. And then aside from the Sustainable Packaging Podcast that you launched, you're also on Packaging Today, correct?
Yeah, my friends Adam Peak and Avelio Matos, who are two of the main reasons I started my podcast, they had their own podcasts as well. Avelio focusing on design and Adam focusing on business and sales and packaging. The three of us really, comment or as a group become the package deal, which is what we people have started calling us. The three of us really complement each other, and it's an honor to be friends with them. They've got many years of experience and wisdom, and I really enjoy working with them.
So would you say that that's where some of your marketing and advertising background come into play?
Well, yeah, I studied advertising and marketing in college and
Mhm.
wanted to go and make commercials. And
Okay.
so that was my passion. I was going to do that, but when I graduated, nobody was hiring for advertising agencies or marketing professionals. The economy was really strange, and so I
Mhm.
went into sales. I went to a job fair and found a packaging company, which was Kent H. Landsberg at the time. It's now Landsberg Aurora. And yeah, so, but if you look at packaging the way we do, it's all marketing, it's all advertising.
Mhm.
It's the final frontier of a way to advertise and market your brand to your consumer.
Right. I mean, I know as a consumer, packaging does have a lot to do with the products that I select. There's nothing better than seeing an eye-catching packaging or package out there. I also know that some younger consumers also tend to look for more sustainable packaging as well. That's not one of the biggest factors when considering whether you want to buy a product or not. Um, what would you
Very
say
true.
is new in the world of sustainable packaging?
So many things are changing. It's a daily update. It's an hourly update with what's new
Hmm.
and what's coming out. You know, things like monomaterial packaging, higher post-consumer recycled content. The shift to paper-based packaging is still in effect and has been leveling out a little bit as people
Hmm.
find it difficult to use paper in certain situations. They're using plastics still with high post-consumer recycled content instead, and making sure that their packaging is recyclable to
Right.
accommodate new extended producer responsibility laws, which are changing all the time.
And then, since you have been in the industry for 26, 27 years now, what would you say has been one of the most notable differences from when you started till now?
Well, I think people are taking this seriously now. I
Mhm.
grew up in the northwest of the USA, and uh, especially in Portland where I live, we're very focused on environmentally friendly or green packaging is what we used to call it.
Right.
But it wasn't really taken seriously because it was more expensive. But now the shift to sustainable packaging, which is basically the same thing as
Mhm.
green and environmentally friendly, has taken hold in a big way because people are ready. They're ready to move to those things. The EPR laws are forcing people to do that, and frankly, that's really good news.
So, talking about EPR, what would you say, or what would you say the future of EPR looks like here in the U.S.?
Yeah. Well, I hope it becomes one thing instead of
Mhm.
50 different rules, state by state. It's becoming very difficult to understand. There are great companies like Lorax EPI that can help you with that kind of a question, like how is this law going to affect me in all these 50 countries that are enacting new laws and 50 states that are working towards different laws. But it's becoming very confusing and very difficult. So what
Mhm.
I think will happen is people will look towards states like California for the most aggressive changes and then accommodate those with their packaging. And then that will become their packaging nationally because they don't want to have different packaging for each state.
Right. I was just going to say, we talked to Lorax CPI a couple of episodes back. They were very insightful on everything that's going on within the EPR world, everything that has to do with the regulations, everything that's currently changing, upcoming trends that could potentially affect
Yeah.
businesses as well. Um, what would you say, or now moving on to trade shows, because again, I had mentioned that I had missed you at Pack Expo last year, but have you attended any trade shows recently or as of this year?
Yes, I have a whole list here. I went to 28 shows last year. This year, I think it'll be fewer than that, but started the year off with Paris Packaging Week in Paris, France.
Okay.
Went to the Spec Summit in with the SpecRite team. I highly recommend that if you're a customer or interested in being a customer of SpecRite. That's a great event.
Mhm.
Thuspack in Chicago, SPC the Sustainable Packaging Coalition puts on incredible events. Next month, I'll go to London for London Packaging Week with the Easy Fairs team. I'm really excited for that. That'll be my first time. And then back to Chicago for SPC again. And then Amsterdam for the Sustainable Packaging Summit with the Packaging Europe team. Can't wait for that. Really, that's an amazing event.
Mm-hmm. See, here I was thinking that we went to a good amount of shows last year just because we did manage to go to 10, but you're talking about like 28 shows. You must have just been all over the place.
It was a lot of travel. My wife didn't love it, so we're adjusting that schedule.
Right. And then what would you say are some of the trends and insights that you've gotten from the shows that you've currently attended this year?
Yeah, a lot of new innovations in coatings for paper-based packaging. A lot of people are really focusing on relationships at shows. This is an opportunity to meet in person. I think COVID was really hard on a lot of us, including me. People that like to be with people and be around other people. It was really a challenge. So I feel like people are coming out of their shells again and really taking the time to meet at events and get to know each other again. Some great speakers and some great events at these different shows.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel like some individuals, especially when you're starting a business, or like for us, for instance, when we had first joined the industry, we had never gone to any of these trade shows. So I know it was definitely an eye opener for me. There's nothing like seeing all of the different types of equipment that all of these larger companies bring out. Same thing with the different packages. You see so many different types of designs. So yeah, I definitely see the value in attending these trade shows. And then you mentioned that you were going to be going out to London, correct, for Packaging Week out there. Are you speaking for this upcoming show?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be on a panel talking about luxury packaging in the spirits world, which I'm very much looking forward to, talking about glass packaging and different things that are being done in that space to be more sustainable, including like my team at Saver Glass is doing. They're really innovating, lightweighting, making glass even more recycled and recyclable.
Interesting. And then for the Sustainable Packaging Summit in Amsterdam, would you be speaking at that one as well, or are you just attending?
Yeah, I think I would do both there as well. Tim Sykes and the team over there do an amazing job. Highly recommend that show. And the Sustainable Packaging Coalition will actually have a co-event there the day before. So November 10th is the SPC, and then 11th and 12th is the Sustainable Packaging Summit put on by Packaging Europe.
Interesting. Thank you. What would you say are the differences between European consumer packaged goods and U.S. consumer packaged goods?
Yeah, well, in general, the laws are much more strict over there, and we've been learning from them what to do and what not to do. They've had some different bans and different things. The way they buy food over there is very different than us. I'm speaking in generalities, of course. They're much more focused on what they're going to eat today and tomorrow, rather than here in the USA, we are buying for the month. And going right, we're going to Costco and we're bulking up and we're going to get everything ready for the whole month or more. But which makes packaging much more different for as far as the needs, the shelf life needs. But we've learned a lot from the Europeans as to what to do and what not to do with packaging.
Right. What would you say are some of the biggest influences that we have here in the U.S. thanks to European markets?
I think we're moving towards recyclable packaging. We're moving towards monomaterial packaging. It's not going to be an option to use packaging that isn't curbside recyclable eventually, in my opinion, or possibly compostable if that can get straightened out and figured out. So that's good news. I think we've learned a lot of very positive things from people in France, for example, the recycling rate on glass is 76%. Here it's 37 if we're lucky. And, so we have a long ways to go, but they've proven that it's possible, and we need to do that as well. In my opinion, we need to get those recycle rates up.
Right, we have a lot of catching up to do from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And talking about learning, can you tell us a little bit about the packaging school?
Yeah. So highly recommend the packagingschool.com. It's accredited by Clemson University, and the team over there is incredible. I'm running a cohort with Dr. Julie Rice Suggs, and it's going to be a 6-week sustainable packaging course that everyone will go through together, and then we'll talk about it once a week. We just had our first meeting today, and it was great. Professionals from all around the world are joining us, and it's an opportunity for people like you and me, Alexa, to learn, in short bursts. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Very easy to consume content and wisdom from the packaging school, and then they call it micro learning, or it's just really fast and easy to, you're not sitting in a lecture hall for 3 hours. You've got an extra 10 minutes. You can listen to a segment or watch a piece to get to the next part of your course.
So I was actually going to ask, just because I had been looking into a couple of the certifications on that site, would you say that you would already have to have previous knowledge of the packaging industry to really join, or would you say that this is something that someone that's new to this industry would be okay going into?
Yeah, great question. I think it's for everybody, and they've tailored it for students. They've tailored it for executives. C-level people should be interested in this, and designers and people that have many, many years experience like me, or just starting out. It's all across the board, and they present the information in a way that makes sense with audio and visual, and it's just really impressive. I've been very impressed with this.
And how would you say that you first got started within the organization?
Well, when I was traveling constantly and going to these shows, I kept running into Drew Felty and Dr. Andrew Hurley from the packaging school. They're the co-founders, and it just made sense that we would do something together. And they approached me about this a few months ago and said, "Hey, let's do this finally." And I said, "Okay." So it's been great. We had a huge success. We nearly doubled what we were hoping to get as far as attendance for this cohort. So,
congrats. And then I'm not sure if you had already mentioned it, but what topics would you be teaching within your specific section?
Yeah, so this will be it's kind of a sustainable packaging 101. I would liken it to right now. And then as it goes through the process, it kind of gets to 102, 103, and kind of levels up. It's going to be the basics. We're talking about terminology. We're talking about the green guides. We're talking about the UN laws, all of these things that will help you understand how to speak with people in the industry and how to communicate.
And then, since we do work with so many small businesses here, so many startup companies, what advice would you give to them in terms of improving their packaging or moving toward more sustainable packaging? Because I know that sometimes that idea can be a little daunting, especially when you have so many different areas in your business that you're trying to improve or that you're trying to grow. Packaging might not be one that you think of immediately, but what advice would you give?
Yeah, well, that's a long conversation, but I can break it down into a couple things that I advise everybody is know where you are. So take a look around, look what you're using. How many pounds of plastic, how many pounds of corrugated, are all the packages right sized? Are there things that you could down gauge slightly? But I highly recommend reaching out to somebody like Aurora Packaging Solutions and having somebody come and do an audit with you. Most of these companies like ours will do that at no cost, and really take a look at what you're using
Mhm.
professionally and then say, okay, here's 3 things we can do today to make you more sustainable. And it's not going to, it won't even raise your costs. It'll actually save you money because you're going to be saving on freight. You're going to be saving on materials. There's
Mhm.
different ways of looking at things to make people more sustainable. It's actually, in my opinion, a lot of fun.
And then I was actually going to ask, just because I know that whenever our clients do start up, they feel like they have to hit a certain mark for them to then ask for help. Would you say that in terms of moving toward more sustainable packaging, is there a specific point where they should start considering it, or is it just, um, I guess, based on their individual experiences?
Yeah, the answer is right now, today, or yesterday, if you could. I think we need to. Um, we're already doing great things, so let's take a
Hmm.
look at what we're doing today, and then take a hard look at what we could do differently to be more sustainable, and then reach out to your local municipality and talk to them and see what they're doing and how you can help them with the packaging that you are shipping your products in. I think we can all be in this together, and even reach out to your local government officials and say, hey, what if we had more recycling? What if we could recycle this here? And so there's a lot of ways that we can help, even if we're
Hmm.
not in the packaging industry.
Thank you, Corey. So I feel like we've reached the end of our discussion, but do you feel like we left anything out? Is there anything that you would like to touch on?
I think that was great. Again, reach out to me on LinkedIn or different social medias that I'm on. I'm Corey Gated at TikTok, and here to help.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of the great advice.